Welcome to the SIMSII Operators training video. This video should help in the understanding of the capabilities of the SIMSII from the operator's perspective. The operator's world in the SIMSII must start from the traffic display and its capabilities, and that's where we're going to begin. Now that we look at the traffic display, I want to bring your attention to several things on it. First, up at the top there is a mode which says traffic display. There are circumstances we would turn on other types of tracking devices where file names may appear up here. That is unimportant, has no real effect on the capabilities of what you're doing. It's just a little bit of an extra tracking mechanism. Follow this by the current version number of the program, followed by the current operator logged into the system at this terminal. Follow this up with the day of the week, the date, and the current time. Across the bottom is a series of help keys that may be used in order to speed up operation, the current disk status, the current screen status, how many events are currently active on the screen that do not have any operators working them. Finally, if there are any current events that are waiting to be placed on the traffic display, and its percentage if necessary. Now, looking further at the traffic display, I'd like to bring your attention to the columns. The first column is the priority column. This is a priority 2 event, followed by a priority 5 event, followed by a priority 6 event. Then, the current time the event is been received, the account number of the event, the name, the first 21 characters of the name of the subscriber, the group ID, the code that was received in, the current status of the account, and finally the brief signal description. This brief signal description relates directly to the mnemonic that has been received in, so a BUR is expanded to the term burglary, and LTC, late to close, is expanded to a not closed description. These descriptions are programmable on the central station level and may be set to where you want them. Also, there is a column right after the time that has significance. In this column, you may see a series of characters, and only one character. The asterisk that you see up there right now in several of these means this was a manual alarm entry. If you see a T in that particular column, that means this account is currently, and this signal is on test. An E, capital E, means it's been autologged due to emergency mode settings. If you see a capital C, that means this account has been placed on cancel status from within the account database. And finally, a lowercase e indicates that this zone was emailed to the client. There are lots of zones that receive automatic emailing that then preclude them from requiring operator action, and they're designated on the traffic display as a lowercase e. Okay, the first thing that we note is the operator can use the up and down arrow key to move to the different event that he would like to then process. In this particular case, we're going to start out and just bring down the very first one by hitting the enter key. This is a burglary type event. The program has automatically notified us that the account has a service work order that is currently active. This is important as far as our false alarm reduction capabilities. And with the escape key, we can remove that and begin the actual dispatching sequence. Let's look at what's on the dispatching mask. First of all, we have the account number. Then we have the physical receiver and physical line number that this signal was received in. This can be important for audio verification or even sometimes video verification. We have the local time that the signal was transmitted to the central station or received by the central station. In our case here, we know that the central station time is 10:55, but we know that the signal was actually received by the central station at 8:54 local time. That's the subscriber's local time. The name of the account is Tequila Willie's, the contact, the address, the cross-street information, city, state, primary and secondary number at the location if available, and a callback number can be filled in here from the dealer if we want to provide that callback number in the case of dispatching to the police department. We have all OK word. This is very prevalent in homes and residential type alarms as opposed to having an individual passcode for each one of the employees. You might have a general all OK word. Permit number for the police department if required. Map grids and pages. The account type, whether it's a commercial, residential, apartment complex, so and so forth. The control type. The alarm company that's associated with this client, the current status of the account, closed in this case, and whether there's map or video available on the account. The top field across here is the brief comments that are placed in the account database, and they are displayed for the dispatching mask. This could be an indicator that someone's on vacation for 2 weeks in the case of a residence, just some sort of a reminder to let the operators know. The areas below that are the capability for operators to leave comments to the next operator. And we can date those. So if an operator speaks with the account, they tell them, I'm sorry, we've got construction going on here for the next 2 weeks. The operator may put in a dated comment that will automatically purge, identifying that there happens to be construction for the next 2 weeks. The next part of the screen is a moving mask of the people to be called. A Control Z will move this mask upward, Control W moves it downward. So although we only see 3 in our mask, I can move easily to the next person on the list with the Control Z and back up with the Control W. We're going to now just take one more look at the bottom here, and then we'll get into the actual calling of the people on the contacts. The code number, whatever it is, appears in the lower left-hand corner, followed by the time, central station time, that the signal came in, the description of the zone that came in, a burglary type zone, and finally a 44-character description of exactly what the zone is. Down at the bottom is a series of help keys to assist you in knowing how to get to rapid other screens to assist you in the dispatching or whatever it happens to be, service, creating service work orders or so forth. In addition to those help keys that are at the bottom, you also have an F8, you'll notice here says miscellaneous, and it will bring up a whole nother series of help keys that will assist you in getting to other places and other pieces of information in a very quick and timely fashion. For example's sake, we can see that Alt F4 gives me history event summary. This is the last 8 events that have come in about the account. When you have events that are identified as break-ins during closing periods, this can be very helpful because with an Alt F4 I get a rapid screen up there that shows me what has taken place in the last 8 events on this account. There are lots of other hotkeys. We can get into those, but just so you know, these are the kind of hotkey things that are available. Now let's speak about the dispatching part. We see that the very first people on the dispatch list are the Arleta Police Department. And then there's a note that's there that says get the ID. So let's now just simply, following our little description here, F2 to dial. I see that my cursor is at the first one. I'm going to strike the F2 key. At this point in time, we bring up another little mask, and if the dialing out sequence were hooked up, if a modem was hooked up to our terminal here, we would have then started dialing the number, the program would have waited for someone to answer the phone, or if there was no answer, in the comment field it would have placed no answer. If the phone number was busy, it would have placed busy over here. If someone answers the phone, it is then just going to allow you to pick up the phone, and then you say hello to them. You might ask them, well, in this case, it's a police department, so you're going to actually tell them that you're dispatching for the client Tequila Willie's, etc., etc. And you may be asking then for a badge number, following the descriptions of get the ID. You give them the information. You're going to ask them for their badge number back. Then you strike the F10 key, and the actual dialing to the police department is accomplished depending on your procedures. Now you might move down and say, well, I need to call Paul Levine. And we're going to now strike the F2 and call Mr. Levine at his home phone number. Now notice this is a very different sequence than goes on with a premise verify first. In the case of a premise verify first, we would have seen the premise number first and then would have called that place first and then begun the whole sequence by calling the establishment. But in this case, the establishment is closed, so therefore premise verify first has no real bearing on this. I'm going to call Mr. Levine. I might ask Mr. Levine what his pass card is, and I don't know his pass card, so I'm just going to strike the F2 key, and he's going to tell me TW0002. I know now that I've contacted Mr. Levine. I've spoken to him on the phone. He will attend, which might indicate that he is heading for the Tequila Willie's commercial establishment. I strike the F10. Possibly, I'm only responsible to make one contact on this particular thing. That's generally the truth. And so at this point in time, I've handled my dispatching responsibilities. And I'm ready now to go further into it. I can do one of several things right now. I can downgrade the priority of the event, waiting on other things to take place. I can place this particular event on hold so I can come back and pick it up when Mr. Levine has got to the place. I may have given him instructions to call me, or I may be supposed to call him back, and so on and so forth. So let's just say for the moment we said called Mr. Levine, and he will call back after arrival of the police with disposition. Could be an example the way I do it. All right. At this point in time, I would probably place this event on hold using the F9 key, which simply means I'm going to put it at a very low priority on my traffic display, knowing that I've got to come back to it. Now, we're going to do that, but before I do that, I want to bring your attention up to just a few other things. If for some reason I felt that when I was working with this particular event, I needed to create a service work order, I can strike the F4 key and then go into the service work order area. The first thing, it tells me that there's currently a work order active. At this point in time, I have several lines that I can use to write up a description of what it is. I could write in who it is reported by, the promise date, and so forth like that. And while the fields that are currently in front of you right now really don't fit the scenario we're speaking about here, I think they're fairly self-explanatory. Now I've said I've got this work order up here. I hit the F9 key. I've now saved it over into the work order area so that the supervisor from the work order can pick it up either now or in the morning when they come in, or so on and so forth like that. So at this point in time now, I'm going to place this particular event on hold but there are lots of other capabilities. I'm going to move into a different masking here in a minute and show you more of these capabilities. But let's just strike the F9. Now notice, instead of it being a priority 2, I have moved this particular event down to a hold level so that I'm waiting, as we had in our scenario there, Mr. Levine to call back and to identify what's going on. I can pick him up later. And now my responsibilities may be to move to a different type situation. We'll have him coming back with us on that. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to take note of FiberTech, which has got a not closed currently pending. I can then hit the enter key, and I'm going to bring up a different kind of mask than you're used to seeing it now, because this is a late to close. This establishment is supposed to be closed right now, but the computer is telling me that they haven't sent in a closing signal, so I have one or two scenarios that I can be dealing with here. Number one, I can be dealing with a scenario where they're still in there working, or the second is they forgot to alarm the system, or there's some sort of service situation involved. So let's say, take the first scenario, which is probably the easiest to relate to, and that is they're still in there working. So the first thing I'm going to do is strike the F2 key. When I strike the F2 key, I then dial the premise, because there is no call list here, so we're dealing with premise only. It dials the premise. Hopefully someone there is then going to answer the phone. At that point in time, they're going to give me a pass card, and again, I'm going to just open up my little box here so that I have some pass cards to deal with. And Mr. Milton Rystad happened to answer the phone. He then has given me his pass card. It identifies, the system then identifies who he is and what his access authorization level is. He's working late, which would make sense right now. And he's going to then give me some sort of a time, because we're going to ask him the magic question. I'm going to hit the F10 key, clear off the dialing display now. Notice it's filled in his pass card and so forth. But I know that I need to go down here to F3 open closing and give some sort of information that says, hey, this guy is going to be in here for a while. I notice, first of all, I'm going to come back and create another event at 11:33. So if he told me he's leaving in 10 minutes, I don't really have to do this. But let's say he says he's going to be in there another hour. And we know now it's 11:08 for looking at the clock up there. So let's just say he's going to be in there till 12 o'clock. All I have to do is put the closing time in. I can strike the F10 key, and I've actually taken care of extending his closing period to 12 o'clock plus whatever tolerances are in his account, if that option is selected by the temporary schedulers. But let's go back to F3 here, and let's just take a look. On the 17th, which is today's date, he opened at 11. He's due to open 11:08. He's supposed to close at 12 o'clock. The next one will be generated at 12 o'clock, so I don't have a tolerance time that's keyed into here. This is an option, by the way, in your Central Station Management section to add tolerances for temporary schedules or not. This particular one is set up for no. So if he's not back, if he's not closed by 12 o'clock, I'm going to automatically create another late to close on this particular account. If we were dealing with some other problem, let's say while we were speaking to this man, he said, oh, by the way, I've got zone XYZ that is currently in alarm condition, and I don't know what it is. Well, I can do two more things at that time. Number one, I can create a work order, which might say zone. I'm going to give a number here, and it's not going to relate to the database because I don't know what the database says. But let's just say that it's A6. Zone A6 is flashing on the panel. Please send service. Okay, I might come down here and put his name, and for the life of me, I don't remember his name right now, so we're just going to just say unknown. and I'm gonna say I promise him that it'll be done by tomorrow at 12 o'clock. This is information so that the service personnel know what I've told the customer, and I might even assign a priority. It's possible. And of course, everybody thinks in priority ones. At this point in time, again, I just F9. I've now saved this particular event, and I've gone back to my routine action mask, which was the basis for the whole call. There is also the ability to place zones out of service from this masking. Let's also strike the F5 key, which we see down here as OUS, and I'm going to say for 24 hours, okay, and I could fill all these in here, but for 24 hours, I'm going to place A6 out of service. Now, I'm going to also tell you something else while we're in here. There are the ability, you could strike the F2 key, and you can pick it this way, and I just happen to have that A6 in there. So you can place two different types of zones on out of service, or you may place a mnemonic. Now again, remember the F1 key is there to help you understand what these fields are. Or I can say, place the entire account out of service except a certain mnemonic. There are many circumstances where we may place a panel completely out of service except for the fire alarm. That's a very typical thing when going out to a commercial site. Or I might want to place all of my tampers out of service. I mean, I can do that by backing up to here and putting in TAM. I can put a combination which would be both out of here. This would be an OR situation, zone A6 or the tampers. Okay, zone A6, but the fire is going to be excluding everything or placing everything out of service except the mnemonic. There are also some capabilities, I'm going to just remove that out of there. There are also capabilities that you may email certain zones. Let's say your technician is out there and you want to place this account of service, but you want to automatically email it to him. That is possible. You may, as you can see with the number 2, email. Not only you place an account out of service, but you're emailing to the second dealer email address. He may be out there. In this case, he's got his little PDA, or he's got his phone with email capabilities, so every time he sends a zone in, it just automatically comes back to him, stops a lot of his phone calls and operator action that might be required at the central station. Okay, at this point in time, we've done several things. We've said zones A6 is going to be out of service for 24 hours, and then starting there, I'm going to strike the F10 key. That's taken care of. At this point in time, I could choose to come down here and place some operator comments in there, do some other things. Many circumstances, I would sign this off right now. It would be probably everything is done. But I want to take a few moments and take you through some other hotkey capabilities because they're fairly important and they're going to have a big bearing on you. If you were in an event and you see there are more events on the traffic display, I can take the F6 key and bring up those extra events if they're on the traffic display and for this exact account. If you wanted to look at the traffic display in a mini format, the F11 key gives you a mini traffic display. So you can see these things without having to leave where you're at. This mini traffic display is also available in account maintenance and lots of other places. Simply hit the F11 key and it'll pop up for you. I can see here that this is the current event that I'm working. I see it because my initials are next to it, but I also see that I've got an event on hold, and I also have an unrestored priority 6 event. So this is just some more capabilities to let you see things from a quick standpoint. A lot of the other things which are very nice, are located under the F8, but there is one more, the F7 key. The F7 key will take you to the database for the account, so you can see everything about this. This database key can be very helpful. Let's say that you're in a routine action mask here right now. You have called the premise, except no one's there. Nobody answers the phone. So you can get over immediately to the call list to go and pick someone else on the call list to call them at home. And you simply can come down to theirs. Let's say I came down to Charles Bryant. I can hit the F9 key from that place, and it will dial him automatically, and also will register that call into the history of the account. So even though I didn't have the call list back there on my original late to close, I can get to a contact list very easily with the F7 key. There are other things that are also very helpful. I can page through all of the database when I start out with that F7 key, and again, all I do is escape back to get back to the original place I was located at. Okay, now we've done the necessary things on this. I'm going to pick up my pass card again for Mr. Rystad that I had. We put that back in there. I've said that no comments are really necessary now. I said I was going to spend a moment at the F8 key, and I will now. The F8 key will bring up a whole nother group of special type events, or special type hotkeys to get to places we want. We can see that we can get to dealer help with the Alt F9. We can get to partitioned accounts to find out if there are any partitioned accounts underneath this account. All these kind of things. I'm not going to go through each one of these. I don't think it's necessary, but you can easily go to them simply by using these keys. I will give you one example that's a fairly easy one. I can see the last comments that all of the accounts have been done on. Here's the operator comment survey, Alt F3. I can hit the key here and it'll show me the comments that were written on this account. I can go to dial, Control F2 says dial the alternate phone number. So we have lots of capabilities in there like that. I'm going to close this particular event out now. Let's see, let's pick a nice one. See event comments here. I've now closed out that not closed. We know that he's scheduled to come back up at 12 o'clock if that person is not in there right now. I wanted to come back to the traffic display quickly just to bring up Tequila Willie's one more time and show you one more item that I think is important and should be brought up at this point. And notice we've identified a particular control panel up here. One of those F8 keys for that is help on the control panel. If I use a Control F1 or Alt F1, excuse me, while I'm in some sort of a masking and that particular control panel is identified, I get up a control unit help. Now these control unit helps are set up by the database entry people, but this can be very valuable to you because it's giving you a lot of extra information. For example, a lot of times when you're dealing in dispatching, you're calling the premise first, you're finding out that they have a problem, and it's not necessarily what's been coming in. They may have a panel problem. So you can move through this help screen here to give them some information about the panel that they have installed without having to know a great deal about the panels yourself. In this case, you can see that we can identify to them how to reset the fire zones, how to reset the panic activation, so forth like that. The worst thing you want to have to do is when you're dealing with a customer is to tell them that you've got to call somebody else to call them back when they have some sort of an alarm going off. They want help, and they want help it right away. Sometimes it's something as simple as changing your code. These are real beneficial items that help the central stations out, help the customers out, and however we deal with the customers may be a factor of our central station, but one thing is for sure, if we can give them the help they need immediately, we are going to be placing our central station, our dispatching people, in a much better light, as well as removing a lot of the mundane tasks that the service personnel have to do. Okay. Thank you very much, and this concludes the operator training video.